A man was sitting on the edge of the bed, watching his wife, who was looking at herself in the mirror. Since her birthday was not far off, he asked what she'd like to have for her birthday. "I'd like to be 8 again," she replied, still looking in the mirror. On the morning of her birthday, he arose early, made her a nice big bowl of Cocoa Pops, and then took her to Adventure World theme park. What a day! He put her on every ride in the park. The death slide, the wall of fear, the screaming roller coaster, everything there was. 5 hours later, they staggered out of the theme park. Her head was reeling and her stomach felt upside down. He then took her to a McDonald's where he ordered her a Happy Meal with extra fries and a chocolate shake. Then it was off to a movie, popcorn, a soda pop, and her favorite candy, M&Ms. What a fabulous adventure. Finally, she wobbled home with her husband and collapsed into bed exhausted. He leaned over his wife with a big smile and lovingly asked, "Well, dear, what was it like being 8 again?" Her eyes slowly opened and her expression suddenly changed. "I meant my dress size, you idiot!" An old blind cowboy wanders into an all-girl biker bar by mistake. He finds his way to a bar stool and orders a shot of Jack Daniels. After sitting there for a while, he yells to the bartender, "Hey, you want to hear a blonde joke?" The bar immediately falls absolutely silent. In a very deep, husky voice, the woman next to him says, "Before you tell that joke, cowboy, I think it is only fair, given that you are blind, that you should know 5 things. 1, the bartender is a blonde girl with a baseball bat. 2, the bouncer is a blonde girl with a billy club. 3, I'm a 6-foot-tall, 175-pound blonde woman with a black belt in karate. 4, the woman sitting next to me is blonde and a professional weightlifter. 5, the lady to your right is blonde and a professional wrestler. Now, think about it seriously, cowboy. Do you still want to tell that blonde joke?" The blind cowboy thinks for a second, shakes his head, and mutters, "No, not if I'm going to have to explain it 5 times.
Emotional damage!
A husband notices his wife's hearing is deteriorating and decides to visit her doctor for advice. "I can't speak to my wife directly, as she might find it offensive given our old age," he says to the doc. "There's a simple trick you can try to determine her hearing," explains the doctor. "Simply ask her a question at a distance, and if she doesn't hear you, move slightly closer and ask again until she does." That night, the husband arrives home and sees his wife in the kitchen cooking. He thinks to himself, what a perfect opportunity to test her hearing. He stands in the doorway of the kitchen and promptly asks, "What's for dinner, honey?" No answer. He moves closer. "What's for dinner, honey?" Still no answer. He moves even closer. "What's for dinner, honey?" Still his wife doesn't answer. He now sees how serious her hearing problem is. At this point, he stood right next to his wife. "What's for dinner, honey?" "For the 4th time, we're having chicken." A teacher told her class to come up with a story that has a moral. When everyone is ready, Dave says, "My dad is a farmer and we have chickens. One day, we were taking a lot of eggs to the market in a basket, but the basket fell and all the eggs broke." The teacher says, "Oh, and what is the moral of the story?" Dave replies, "To not put all your eggs in one basket." The teacher is pleased and says, "Very good, Dave. Who else wants to answer?" Little Johnny raises his hand and says, "My Uncle John was a pilot in the war and his plane got hit. He had to bail out over enemy territory and all he had was a bottle of whiskey, a machine gun, and a machete." Confused, the teacher says, "Go on, Johnny." Little Johnny says, "So Uncle John drank the whiskey on the way down to prepare himself. He landed right in the middle of 100 enemy soldiers. He killed 70 of them using the machine gun. Then he killed 20 more with the machete, and the last 10 with his bare hands." The teacher is shocked and says, "Oh my God, what is the moral of this story?" Little Johnny replied, "To stay away from Uncle John when he's drinking."